Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. So just a quick update before we start. Soulless Gamer, the winner of the t-shirt in one of the previous videos, has gotten in touch and their t-shirt is on the way. Keep your eyes open for tomorrow's video. We're going to be giving away another one in that video. Today we're jumping into some ProRevenge. Our first story today comes to us from WFogel97. School expelled me for mom's anger. We sued the county and caused a reform. Let's jump right in. So I have a really bad leg. I've had 13 surgeries, long story, and had just started at a new school. After the first 3 weeks, I had to go in for another procedure on my leg. Not that big a deal to me, I've been here before. Upon my return, I had documentation of my restrictions, as well as special amenities that were required. The big three were that I needed extra time to get from class to class, must have someone to escort me, and needed unrestricted access to the elevator. All of these got me recurring problems, such as constant harassment by teachers and security about my being in the halls during class time, and why was my cousin out too? He was filling the role as my escort, as I have anxiety problems and we had the same classes. These first two were annoying but easy enough to deal with. The real issue was the elevator, as I was told multiple times that for security issues, I couldn't have a personal key due to it sharing the same functionality with the interior door keys. I would never have had any issue with this, as I was told there would always be someone on the same floor as my classes to open the elevator for me. This, of course, was untrue about 75% of the time. The lack of elevator access meant that I was always stuck in the halls when other students were going class to class, and was consistently late due to having to wait for someone to come by and open the door for the elevator. This also meant that I would sometimes be stuck waiting through the entire lunch period, and due to my absences, couldn't afford to simply go to lunch after the fact. After about 3 weeks of this, I was tired of not getting to eat lunch. So I did one of the stupidest things I could have attempted and tried to use the stairs. For context, I was not on crutches. I was on a full-blown walker. About halfway down to the landing, I fell hard. As lunch was getting out, one of my friends found me, got someone to help pick me up, and carried me to the office. Another of my friends went to find my other cousin. The one who normally escorted me wasn't there due to being sick, so I was without escort because I couldn't bear the thought of, gasp, a stranger escorting me, who when getting to the office managed to get me calmed down enough to give them my mother's phone number. Now, my mother is quite hot-tempered but can keep a level head normally. When she heard I fell, she was there in record time. When she got there, she immediately asked what happened. I told her I didn't want to miss lunch again, so I tried to use the stairs. Big mistake, as that set off a Karen-sized explosive. She immediately turned around and demanded for the principal and VP to get their butts in here ASAP. As soon as the principal and VP walked in, she started berating them in a fashion not suitable for most adults to hear, let alone kids. When the VP made an offhand remark about my condition, my mother was swarmed by local sheriffs that provided security for the school's entrances and office as she physically went after the VP. We were escorted out, and after looking at the file and realizing my cousin and I have the same address, they figured out that I didn't actually live there. Now, my grandmother's address was listed as she looked after me after I left school up until around 8 p.m. She was also raising my cousin after an issue between her and my aunt. They used this as grounds to expel me and told her I can be some other school's problem now. I was then enrolled at the school near my house and had to have yet another surgery to repair the damage that was done as a result of my fall and redo the work of the previous procedure. I had gotten multiple statements from teachers as well as my doctors, and my parents were moving forward with a lawsuit naming the VP, principal, and the county's school board. We were contacted by a lawyer who had won multiple cases against our school board, some of which went to the state Supreme Court, and he told us he would take our case pro bono. He was getting tired of going against the board and thought a case like this would be what it took to try and fix their crap. Fast forward 9 months, and I was walking out of court with a settlement to cover all my procedures, as well as a written confirmation that the school would be going through a complete administrative overhaul and that the principal and VP would be let go and have their administrative credentials revoked in our state. My new school was let know on day one my medical requirements and my need for a personal elevator key by the superintendent and the head of the State Board of Education. Long story short, my school majorly effed up with handling my medical requirements, resulting in a lawsuit that cost the head administrators their jobs, as well as a full-blown county-wide investigation of disability procedures. Well, OP, I'm really sorry you had to go through that, but keep in mind, you did pave the way for other students with disabilities in that school board's region. I think it'll be much easier for them going forward, and for that, you can be proud. Do me a quick favor, have a look down below the video. If that subscribe button's still red, it means you're not actually subscribed to the KCC channel. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. Bully me, give me the worst schedules, and get me in trouble for crap I didn't do? Have fun finding a new job. Let's jump right in. To begin, I want to say that I am not a racist or sexist person whatsoever. I may delete this since I don't know how well this is going to be received. I am currently a college sophomore who is majoring in a very intensive field. Used to work for a certain store that included a pharmacy and a photo center. I worked in the store, the photo center, and the pharmacy. Basically, my job required me to go wherever I was needed. About 4 months before I quit, we got a new store manager. I'll call him Magikarp Boss because that's how useless he was. This is where all the BS started happening. Magikarp Boss knew literally nothing about the store's operations and constantly put the work that he was supposed to do on other employees. In order to be a store manager at this company, you have to have a pharmacy technician license. Magikarp Boss didn't actually have one though, because he used to work for a different store whose company was bought out by my store's company. Because of this, he had 2 years to get his license, or he would be automatically demoted to assistant store manager. Because he needed to get his license, he would literally spend 90 to 95% of his shifts doing Quizlets for pharmacy. I understand that he didn't need that license until his company was bought out, but in a given workday, he probably spent 10 to 15 minutes doing actual work. On top of this, I was the only person in the entire store who knew how to operate the photo center. On the days that I was off, I would get at least one phone call from somebody at work asking how to make something or where the tool for something is. On the days that I was working, I would get called over to photo at least 2 times a day to show somebody how to make or do something. Not only this, but the store claimed scheduling issues and that they couldn't hire anyone else right now, which resulted in me constantly getting the worst shifts possible. I was being forced to come in and work at 4 a.m. twice a week, then at 7 a.m. 4 days a week. The only day I had off was Wednesday, and that was only because I had classes from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. that day. They actually tried scheduling me on that day for 3 weeks straight and only stopped when I yelled at the assistant store manager about it over the phone when she called me 2 minutes before my class was starting and asked me where I was. When the store was open, I was being forced to work as the cashier constantly. You know how when you go to the dollar store and they have one employee checking people out, letting people into the bathroom, and showing people where stuff is? Yeah, it was like that, but way worse. According to my Samsung watch, I was getting about 20,000 steps per shift, running back and forth from the checkout to photo to take care of people. Where were the other people during my shift? Before Magikarp Boss, there were almost always at least 3 people in the store: a manager, the photo technician, and the cashier. After Magikarp Boss, when I was working, it was usually only me and Magikarp Boss. If there was a third person on my shift, they were usually just in the back doing nothing or in the office, also doing nothing. The only way I could take a break or lunch was by literally paging, "I'm going on lunch or a break," and then walking out to my car. You're supposed to call somebody up to cover for you for that, but every time I did, nobody would respond and they'd just say, "Oh, I didn't hear you." Sorry for the long setup, we're almost done. The last component to this tale is a shift lead. We'll call her Garbodor because she was trash. This shift lead was easily one of the laziest people I've ever met. I have a slight speech issue, stutter, that usually isn't a problem, but anytime it had come up, Garbodor would dead-butt make fun of me in front of customers, other employees, etc. I actually submitted a complaint to the district manager about this, but Magikarp Boss covered her butt and said that never happened. I'm honestly 60 to 70% sure that Magikarp Boss and Garbodor were effing. Part of my many jobs was to order photo supplies for the store, paper, ribbon, canvases, etc., and also expense items, toilet paper, paper towels, cleaner, etc. both of which are duties that are technically supposed to be carried by a manager. I took a 1-week vacation, and during this vacation, neither of these duties got done, which resulted in me having to drive to 5 different stores in order to get missing supplies, to fulfill photo orders for customers, as well as get some extra TP for the bathroom when I came back. Do you think I got gas money? Ha, think again. Before I left a list behind on the photo counter full of order numbers for all expense and photo items, all of which said, order when store has this many of this item. When I got back, Garbodor actually submitted a complaint to the district manager that said I just left without showing anyone how to do or order those items, and that I called her a dumb butt for not knowing how to do that. The district manager ripped into me despite knowing me for about 4 years now, and sent me home for the next 3 days to think about what I should say during work hours. After this happened, the store manager gave her his login and full permission to write me up whenever she felt it necessary to do so, which is something only store managers are allowed to do under any circumstance. To my surprise though, she didn't immediately do this 24/7 and actually only did this once before I left. What did she do it for? She wasn't able to get a truck shipment done, so she wrote me up and said that I messed up a $300 photo order and refused to take responsibility for it and redo it, so she had to take about 2 hours and remake the whole thing. Okay, now we get to the actual revenge portion of this. I put in my 2 weeks during November, and when Magikarp Boss saw this, he deadbutt told me, I'll give you one chance to undo this, because if you quit before Christmas, I'm going on LinkedIn and saying you're the worst employee I've ever worked with. If I get any calls asking about you as a reference, I'll say the same thing. The reason he didn't want me quitting before Christmas is because that's when photo sales skyrocket like crazy, and he knew that he'd need me or the store would be screwed. I instead told him to screw off and quit immediately. The day after I quit, I was informed through an old coworker, let's call her Sobel, after her favorite Pokemon, that the store had hired 5 new employees. Can't hire anyone else right now, my butt. Anyways, I had the district manager's phone number because he at least used to trust me enough to give it to me if anything went wrong. I used this to go to the photo website and make a fake account using that phone number. Sobel gave me the days that Garbodor was working, and I used this information to send either a racist or a sexist poster or photo print almost every day that she worked. On the days Garbodor wasn't working, Sobel would actually go and mark the orders as sold in the system and toss them away in order to make Garbodor believe that this wasn't a prank and someone was actually buying these. Garbodor asked Magikarp Boss to talk to him in the office, so when they did, Sobel went to the break room to take her lunch. Break room was about 10 to 15 feet from the office, and both of which always had the door open for some reason. Sobel recorded the whole conversation, which basically consisted of Garbodor asking permission to contact this supposed racist and sexist customer and tell him to stop sending their photos there. Magikarp Boss agreed, and she did exactly that. Sobel anonymously emailed this conversation to the district manager. When Garbodor made the phone call, she absolutely freaked the F out over the phone, called him a jackbutt and about 20 other things, and told him that if she ever saw his name or any of his photos show up again, she would call the police and report it as a hate crime. I obviously wasn't there to witness this absolute beauty, but according to Sobel, the district manager was talking to both of them for 2 hours in the office. Garbodor was fired and Magikarp Boss was immediately demoted to Assistant Magikarp Boss. In case you didn't know, according to my sources, if a store manager at this company is demoted for any reason, they have absolutely zero chance of getting their old position back or anything higher than what they're currently at. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this story disappears from ProRevenge by the OP deleting it. In fact, if you look at the comments on this story, hint, there is a link to the story in the description down below. Yeah, OP's getting a lot of crap from this because I don't think they're quite a nice person themselves. I think I'm just gonna leave it at that, but I'd love to see your comments down below on this one. Just try to keep it clean, please. Check out both OPs at the links in the description down below. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.